Tonight on News 5 Live, 2 murders are recorded over the weekend. A Roaring Creek resident is beheaded. His severed head is found in a plastic bag 400 feet from where his body was discovered. In Gales Point, Manatee, Immar Welch is shot and killed. Is his murder gang-related? Still no progress on the identity of a man found bludgeoned in the Orange Walk Cemetery. Popular Belize City bakery Daria's meat pies robbed over the weekend. Police say over $34,000 was taken from during the incident. In political news, Manuel Heredia says he is running for deputy position within the UDP because he is the right man for the job. And a senior U.S. official makes a brief visit to Belize. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
Smart introduces Real Unlimited Postpaid Plans, providing customers with
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Monday, October 28th. I am Marlene Cuellar. A grisly discovery was made on Sunday morning. The body of Roaring Creek resident Michael Gladden was found through a dirt road off the George Price Highway. Gladden was decapitated and his body dumped where it was found in the bushy area. This morning, the severed head of the victim was located. Michael was last seen at a bar in Belmopan partying, but he was not known to be a troublemaker. A number of persons of interest are being questioned by investigators, as there is reason to believe that the gruesome murder may have been over a female from the same village. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
On Sunday morning, just a few yards down the Mount Pleasant Road off the George Price Highway in Belmopan, the headless body of Roaring Creek resident Michael Gladden was discovered in some bushes. The gruesome discovery was made after a pool of blood was seen by a resident on the dirt road several feet away from where the body was dumped. Police arrived around 8 a.m. to the scene.
Some 300 yards off the main dirt road was seen a pool of blood. As a result, the area was searched by officers who came upon the lifeless body of a dark-skinned male person who at the time was only wearing a black short pants and brown boots. The head was decapitated and was not found nowhere in the area. As a result, the scene was processed and the body was removed to the Western Regional Hospital, where, based on certain distinguishing marks and tattoos, that male person was identified as Michael Gladden, 31 years, of a Roaring Creek address.
The headless body was identified by Gladden's cousin Brett Smith, who works at the Western Regional Hospital. Smith and police confirmed that on Saturday night, Wangster, as he was affectionately known, was out partying at a nightclub. It is believed that he was taken to the area after midnight and beheaded there, and then his body disposed of in the bushes. He also received a cut wound to one of his legs. There were no other signs of injury on the body. Smith recounts what happened.
I was at work because I work at the hospital in Belmopan, and I heard they found a body without head and stuff like that, and we were wondering who it was. So when the police arrived at the hospital with the body, I personally took the body out of the police vehicle, put it in the morgue. Have no idea that it was my little cousin. So after I took the body out, we were talking. I tell him, like, two of my co-workers, that I know this person is from Roaring Creek, but I can't figure out who it is. I then went to the shop. Upon entering back the compound after came from the shop, I was looking at a video, and I saw a video of my little cousin dancing. But then in the video, I was watching at the feet, and I saw the same boots on this guy, the clothes, and I was like, don't tell me this is what I'm thinking. And as I entered the hospital yard, I saw my aunt and my other cousin, which is Michael's brother. So at that moment, I was shocked.
We know for certain, after going over some of what was gathered evidentially, that he was at a nightclub within Belmopan sometime after midnight, along with others.
Any motive behind what?
At this point in time, no, we have not been able to establish a clear motive. We do know that one of the leads being followed is that it may have been over some female, but we are still following that at this point in time.
Everybody knows Michael around here, even in Belmopan. He's not a trouble person. He doesn't mess around with anybody like that. He's the kind that drink his rum. He loves to party, so he's always, apart from that, Michael has no kind of problem with no one.
The severed head was discovered by Smith this morning just before 11 a.m. as police and family members forged a search party that canvassed the area. It was found several feet away from the body in a plastic bag with the shirt he was last seen wearing at the club.
Further searches conducted within the same area just a short while ago, about 10 minutes, resulted in the discovery of the head of Michael Gladden concealed in a bag. Police are currently on the scene processing that area.
Today I'm off, so I decided that I would go to the crowd, and I went, and I'm the one ended up finding the head today. The person that walked into it.
So it was right in the same area?
Yes, it was in the same area, just a little more up from where the body was found. The head was found.
In bushes or
Yeah,
on the...
yeah, it was in the bushes. It was in like behind a garbage dump or something like that, a little garbage pile. It was hanged up on a branch or something like that. Like
In a plastic bag or something?
It was in a plastic bag along with his shirt that he had on. Yeah, that was together.
While police have been unable to ascertain a motive for the crime, several persons have been detained pending further investigation. It is believed that the detainees, who are both from Roaring Creek and Cotton Tree villages, are responsible for the crime.
Are the suspects known to?
Yes, they are known to police.
And are they known to Mr. Gladden? Do they have any?
Yes, we do believe they do.
The persons you guys have detained, they're from Roaring Creek, from the same area? Or?
Some are. And at least one of those persons were identified to have been in the nightclub as well.
The murder weapon has not been recovered as yet. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
There was also a murder in Gales Point, Manatee, a community located just off the coastal road in the Belize district. It was the first homicide to occur over the weekend. Around 7 o'clock on Friday night, shots rang out in the relatively quiet community. When the echoes of the blast subsided, Inmer Welch had been gunned down. The fisherman had just left home and was riding his bicycle when a gunman targeted him. A motive for his violent end on the weekend has not been established. But Senior Superintendent Gilberto Romero says that investigations are looking at various angles.
Police proceeded to the area where, upon arrival, they found the lifeless body of Inmer Welch, 28 years, Belizean fisherman of Gales Point, Manatee, with apparent gunshot injuries. Thereafter, the body was removed and taken to the morgue, where it was pronounced dead on arrival. We have several persons detained for this investigation. No one has been charged at this time.
The motive behind this murder?
We do not have a motive at this time. We are conducting interviews and following up on the investigation.
Is police looking into that angle, that maybe this shooting may be gun-related?
Yes, we are looking at that, yes.
Anything on the ground as to whether it may have been a drug war going on down there?
We do not know at this time. We are doing an investigation to determine what led to this shooting.
Is Mr. Welch known to the police to come in conflict with the law?
Well, he had been charged in the past before this.
In March of 2017, Welch was shot in the St. Martin-de-Porres area in Belize City. The alleged shooter, Curlin Phillips, a Belize City resident, was charged with attempted murder. While investigations continue into the weekend murders of Welch and Gladden, police say that one of two persons wanted for the murder of Darren Gentle has been charged for the crime. On the night of October 23rd, the former employee of the Ministry of Works was inside a vehicle allegedly conducting a drug deal on a dirt road which leads to the village of San Jose Nuevo Palmar in Orange Walk. Gentle was the driver of the vehicle and was shot to the head by a person who got into the rear passenger seat of the vehicle. Tonight, police say that Michael McDougall, a resident of Belize City, has been charged for the homicide.
So far, one other person remains at large who is wanted in relation to this investigation.
Talk to us about what police believe happened outside of the explanation that the friend gave. What does police believe happened?
Well, at this point in time, we are still trying to ascertain what exactly happened that night, aside from the explanation given by the witness. Police have also been doing their own investigations and are following several leads, which eventually led to this arrest so far. But it's an ongoing investigation at this point. So the investigation doesn't stop at the arrest of that one person.
Last Thursday, the body of a Hispanic man was discovered between two graves in a cemetery in Orange Walk town. The person, believed to be in his mid-20s, had been bludgeoned to death with a headstone. The deceased was shirtless and clothed in only a jeans pants and boots. It's been 5 days since the discovery was made, and police say that they still have not been able to determine the identity of the person. ACP Joseph Maivid, who heads the National Crimes Investigation Branch, told the media today that there is no missing persons report that fits the description of the deceased, and the police need the public's assistance.
They observed the body of a Hispanic male lying between two graves with injuries to his head and face. Also on top of him was a concrete cross, which is about 18 by 30 in length. As a result, the scene was processed, and what the police know so far from the information gathered is that someone entered the cemetery, whereupon them entering the cemetery, they observed the body of this male person between two graves. There are several tattoos to the body, which at this point in time still remains unidentified. The entire area was canvassed, and Orange Walk per se doesn't have any missing person fitting that description. I believe those tattoos, images of those tattoos were shared with the media. At this point in time, it's still an ongoing investigation. From what we know, the deceased seemed to be in his mid-20s, more or less, and his approximate time of death could have been earlier that morning, pretty early in the morning.
Joseph Richards is one of 3 persons who police believe entered Dario's Meat Pies on Saturday evening and robbed Nicole Perdomo of little over $30,000 in cash in various denominations. According to Perdomo, she was upstairs of the popular location on Hydes Lane counting the money when a pair of armed robbers stormed into the building demanding the money. In fear for her life, the resident handed over $11,000 in Belize currency and $8,000 in U.S. currency to the thieves. Upon hearing the commotion, 59-year-old Ophelia Hernandez exited her room and walked into the living room, where she observed someone standing on the veranda outside the building. After locking him out, the robber inside the premises shoved Hernandez to the ground while making his escape out onto the street and into New Road. Earlier today, Senior Superintendent Alberto Romero provided details of the incident.
On Saturday, 26th of October 2019, around 6:15 p.m., police responded to an aggravated burglary report at Hydes Lane at Dario's Meat Pies. Upon the arrival, Nicole Perdomo, 43 years, reported that whilst counting money at the establishment on the second floor, 2 male persons came in who were armed with firearms and proceeded to steal an amount of Belizean currency and U.S. currency in cash. As a result, they received injuries. Thereafter, the male persons fled from the area. Quick police response and investigation led to the recovery of the money, and we have several persons detained, and we will determine what charges to be levied upon them by the end of today.
Richards, a resident of Freedom Street, has been arrested and charged for the crime of aggravated burglary. The principals of Breaking Belize News, an online news blog, appeared before the Court of Appeal this afternoon. A contempt of court charge was brought against the online news publication after it published a story on April 5th. On that day, a case about the ICJ referendum was up for case management, which is not normally covered by the media. But a post online led the BBN to publish that the Court of Appeal banned reporters from entering the court. The justice took issue with that and held BBN with contempt of court, for which it had to appear in court today. Coming out of the courtroom, the principals of BBN told the media that no comment would be provided. The media was directed to attorney Anthony Sylvester. Coming up, BWS says that discolored water is safe to drink.
The strength of Belize's tourism product undoubtedly lies in its natural environment, its people, and their hospitality. A steady
31st. Come in today and speak with our specialist and start your journey to a happy and healthier life. Call 223-7870 for an appointment or visit us in Belize City.
Belize Water Services says that the dirty-looking water pouring out of your pipes is safe to drink. For over a week, residents in the Belize district, including the city, have been reporting that the water coming out of their pipes is brownish, discolored water. Well, today, BWS held a press conference to say that there is nothing wrong with the water. It only contains elevated levels of iron that has reacted to chlorine, and that gives the water the brown color. According to the BWS, the problem seems to be going away. The utility company says that they received around 200 complaints from households that are affected. Here's how CEO Alvin Haynes explains why you're getting discolored water through their distribution system and why it is safe to use.
The slight discoloration of the water, and sometimes it's perhaps worse than slight, but that based on what we've seen, the water is not unsafe. However, based on our tests, it's due to increased levels of iron in the water, which basically comes through from the untreated water. We treat it through the plant, but it does not remove the iron levels because the plant at Double Run was designed for the type of water that was tested at the time the plant was being constructed 20 odd years ago. What we've seen is that we're getting higher levels of iron in the water than before. Now, we have actually experienced this in the San Ignacio system some years ago, and we had to enhance the treatment to basically remove the iron levels. And the problem with the iron in the water is that it reacts with the chlorine and causes the discoloration. So as the water sits in the system, it comes from the plant clear, and as it sits in the system, in the pipes, then it builds up the discoloration. So the simple solution is usually to run the water for a little bit so that clears up, and then it's perfectly good. The main problem with the discoloration is that it would stain like white clothes in the laundry. But other than that, it's safe to bathe, it's safe to give, to use to cook, it's safe to give the dogs to drink or for people to drink, etc. It's just, it has a color which we're not used to, obviously.
As you heard, the CEO of BWS, Alvin Haynes, said that the water coming out of your pipes is safe to drink. He told the press today that the problem appears to be subsiding and advises households to run the pipes for a while to get rid of the brown color. According to Haynes, the elevated levels of iron started after the heavy rains almost 2 weeks ago. Here's how he explains it.
We believe that the main increase was caused by the first onset of unusually heavy rains back about the 14th, 15th of October. It implies that land clearing has caused soil to be washed into the river because iron is a natural component in the soil and has increased the levels, and that will subside, hopefully. We're assuming, based on the tests we have, that it went high and then it has reduced somewhat, and hopefully we don't have a recurrence with more rains. Dave will talk to you about the levels, but essentially we're seeing 4 or 5 times the levels that we had seen in the past under normal circumstances. And it has subsided somewhat, so that the new instances reported, the water is much clearer. They can still see the discoloration, but it's much clearer. You didn't bring the sample, Dave. No, sorry. But essentially, that what we're doing, we're flushing the mains to get whatever levels washed out through the main lines. But because it spreads through the entire distribution system, it is essentially going to each line into people's homes, and flushing the mains won't remove it from the individual lines, which is why we ask customers to just run the water a little bit when they see it.
Senior Minister Manuel Heredia Jr. confirms that he is running for the UDP's second deputy position. According to Heredia Jr., he made the decision just the day before applications closed, and he didn't consult with his leader, PM Barrow. When we caught up with Heredia on Saturday at an event in San Pedro, we asked him what motivated his decision. He told us that he will contest his last election in 2020. So he feels that the time is right and that he's qualified and will bring respect and integrity to the party. While it has been rumored that he is pro-Faber for the leadership position, Heredia made it clear that he is not running as part of a slate, and he wasn't asked by either of the leadership candidates to put his hat in the ring. Here's how he explains his personal decision to vie for the second deputy leadership position in the UDP, where he will face off with John Saldiva's candidate, Beverly Williams.
I usually don't believe in going to the higher heights, as some people call it. But I believe that I am at the end almost of my journey. I will only be vying no matter what for one more term, and then I am planning to retire at that point. That being the case, I believe that I bring with me a lot of experience, a lot of humility, a lot of honesty into this party. And I believe this party has been about honesty, transparency. Our Prime Ministers have been an impeccable person, and I am one of his most loyal ministers in government. Hence, I decided if I am to retire, why not give back something to this wonderful party of ours? And I believe that I can bring some integrity to this party. Hence, I decided to put my name as the second deputy. They were talking to me about probably going for the first. I believe that I don't want to go any farther than the second. Even the second, I had to think about that time and time again until I arrived the Thursday of this week from abroad, and I decided to submit my name for that position.
Were you asked by Minister Faber to be on his slate to run for that position?
There is nobody that asked me to run for, nobody that has asked me to support this one or the other. I do respect democracy, and if you see there is another independent candidate, which is Honorable Tracy Panton, and again she believes that she brings a lot of energy, a lot of youth to the party, and a woman. We need combination of women and men. And then personally I believe that the leadership fine, each one is going on its own platform. The other ones I believe that should have been independent and let the delegates decide who they want. But in a democracy, everybody has the right to do what I believe personally that as an independent, whoever of the leaders win, I can bring a lot of respect and integrity to that leader. This one, it was my own decision without consultation, not even with my leader. I have to be very clear that I didn't consult with the leader, didn't consult with the two members of that are vying for the leadership. It was my own personal decision.
Over the years, we've reported on different incidents of the illegal dumping of raw sewage on Ambergris Caye. It is alleged, but still happens on the #1 tourist destination in Belize. While there is one sewage disposal system on the island, the problem persists. On Saturday, Area Representative Manuel Heredia told the media that multiple projects are in the pipeline to help counter the dumping of waste on land and in the waterways.
The sewer system we have in several areas. We have that in downtown. DFC has no sewer system. It is I believe that by now something's supposed to have been done, but that part is more a central government issue than a local issue. It is a local issue in a way because we're supposed to make sure that as we expand, there is more infrastructure to go on. In the northern part of San Pedro, I believe that you have heard that there is a loan that is being made for the expansion of water and sewer on the northern San Pedro. And likewise, according to BWS, there is a plan for the expansion of sewer in other areas of San Pedro, including DFC. There is a loan especially for the downtown and a loan that will be done for up north.
2 years ago, for months, most Belizeans were glued to their television sets as gory details were revealed during an investigation on immigration illegalities. Tonight, there is word from the National Trade Union Congress of Belize expressing disappointment that there has not been, nor is it known, when a report on the immigration inquiry will be forthcoming. The NTUCB quotes a recent statement from the chair of the Special Senate Select Committee, Aldo Salazar, to the effect that the exigencies of his professional life as well as his personal life have not allowed him to complete the report. The NTUCB says that as chair and an appointed senator, Salazar has the responsibility to the Belizean people in completing the draft report. The NTUCB continues that Senator Salazar accepted that position knowing the responsibilities, so that to tell the Belizean people that his professional and personal life have kept him from doing his duties is a total disrespect and disregard toward the Belizean people who he swore to serve without fear or favor. The unions also point out that the committee is required to determine whether consequent on the investigation and inquiry, statutory and other procedures were complied with, and to make a report in a practical and timely manner. The NTUCB calls on Salazar to treat the people's business with some respect and expedite the completion of the report for presentation to the Senate. Having paid for this inquiry, the people of this nation expect and deserve no less, says the unions. 17-year-old Isaac Marin from Keycocker was laid to rest over the weekend. The young man was killed early last week inside his home on the island. His cousin, Jaime Marin, a mental health patient, has been charged with the murder of Isaac and other charges relating to the attempt on the life of Isaac's brother, Carlos. The 17-year-old is the second person since June to be killed at the hands of persons with mental disorders. In June, Nestor Vasquez Jr. was brutally beaten in a cell and killed by a mental health patient who had stabbed a nurse. The Vasquez family has issued a statement on the recent killing of young Marin. The statement reiterates their call on the government to take immediate and decisive action to address the deficiencies in the mental health care services available in this country. Government is urged to establish an acute unit at the KHMH to provide urgent care to persons experiencing volatile, psychotic episodes, and a forensic unit for patients whose condition involves prolonged episodes which may pose a threat to themselves or others. The Vasquezes also say that the practice by families of persons with mental illness who function as their mental health care providers has to stop because they're not trained to so do. A pair of brothers is tonight lucky to be alive after they were flung from a motorcycle over the weekend. Jose and Artemio Yam were traveling from August Pine Ridge when Artemio lost control of the motorbike. Both were injured. The younger of the two, Jose, lost one of his legs in the crash. ACP Joseph Maivet shares details on this non-fatal accident in the Orange Walk district.
Shortly before 10 p.m., Marine Drop police were called to the Northern Regional Hospital, where upon arrival they observed two male persons, namely Jose Yam. 18 years, and Artemio Yam, 22 years. What the police know so far is that the owner of the Yam, Artemio, was driving his black motorcycle towards the direction of San Lazaro village from August Pine Ridge when he seemingly lost control, we believe, from the initial information we received, causing both to be injured. Hoseyam receiving the more severe part of those injuries because he ended up with his left foot below the knee being amputated during the accident. Police are investigating this matter.
4 persons have been detained pending charges for possession of cannabis and uncustomed goods. Around 10 o'clock on Saturday night, police intercepted a vehicle in Orange Walk and inside a knapsack discovered over 4 pounds of cannabis. A further check of the vehicle led to the discovery of 110 packs of cigarettes. The vehicle was driven by Nestor Chimal, a resident of Corozal Town. He was accompanied by Claudel Stevenson of Orange Walk as well as Tyrone Broster and Clinton Allen, both of Belize City. ACB Myvet reports that all 4 have been charged with possession of a controlled drug with the intent to supply. The Customs Department is also involved.
Orange Walk police were conducting vehicular checkpoints near the toll bridge when a red Ford 150 pickup approached the checkpoint, at the time being driven by one Nestor Chimal, 38 years of a Corozal Town address. He was accompanied by 3 other male persons. Police indicated to the driver that they would conduct a search on the vehicle. And in so doing, police discovered a knapsack beneath the driver's seat that contained 4 parcels of suspected cannabis, which when weighed amounted to 1,254.9 grams, and also found in a hidden compartment within the vehicle was 110 packs of cigarettes. As a result, those persons were taken to the Orange Walk police station where they were processed and later charged for the cannabis.
So these people are known to police to be drug peddlers?
I believe one of those persons are.
After the break, a senior U.S. official makes a brief visit and meets with the Taiwanese.
The Belize Social Investment Fund, BSIF, addresses basic needs to enhance the livelihoods of Belizeans and to alleviate poverty by focusing on its 5 main pillars: education,
ASD. Smart, your full-service telecom provider.
Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs, Julie Chung, concluded a visit to Belize today after meeting with various government and private sector representatives, as well as Taiwanese Ambassador Remus Lee Ku-chen. Belize and Taiwan are celebrating 30 years of economic and development cooperation, so the U.S. diplomat gave assurances that the United States is in support of the relationship shared by both countries. This is in light of the ongoing trade war between the U.S. and mainland China.
This is my first time to Belize. I'm very excited to be here. On a too short of a trip, I hope to return. But I came to reaffirm the strong relationship between the United States and Belize, the wide-ranging levels of cooperation and partnership that we have. In addition, I also wanted to come and congratulate the Taiwanese ambassador here for the 30th anniversary of relationship between Taiwan and Belize, and to reaffirm our support for that partnership. I met with a range of officials, including the Prime Minister, opposition leaders, private sector, and youth.
Can you speak to us in particular about the meeting with the Taiwanese ambassador, considering the state of affairs between the United States and mainland China, and of course the building of relations or the strengthening of relations between Belize and Taiwan in this regard?
Well, as I said, this is the 30th anniversary of Taiwan-Belize relations, and I wanted to come congratulate the very active diplomacy and partnership that's ongoing here. And Taiwan is very involved in really honoring the sovereignty of the Belize government and the people while working in concert to address issues of education and scholarships and innovation. I think this is an area that we are also involved in with like-minded partners.
Amid the trade dispute between the United States and China, the world's two largest national economies, is an enduring relationship with Belize and Taiwan. Chung, in a brief question and answer session with the media this evening, spoke about China's influence in the region.
This is something we value very greatly as partners and friends of Taiwan ourselves. There are many values that we share with Belize and Taiwan, and that's democracy, open free markets, transparency, good governance, anti-corruption. And these are basic pillars I think we share very closely, and the values that we share. Now, we look at a country like China, and we've seen some of that predatory actions in the region and, to be honest, throughout the world. And we see predatory lending, debt diplomacy, where many countries are very eager to take some of the infrastructure funding that China's One Belt, One Road offers. My question is, why is it one belt, one road that leads to China? It should be many belts, many roads that leads to many opportunities for all. This is not China's game. It should be all of us engaged together.
Since 2015, over 3,000 asylum seekers from neighboring Central American countries have applied for refugee status in Belize. The number continues to grow as masses of Central Americans journey to the U.S. To date, about 15 persons have been granted refugee status after their cases were considered and received by the Refugee Eligibility Committee. The process of going from asylum seekers to refugee is strict, and in the meantime, migrants settle in various communities, especially in the Western District, where they have managed to successfully integrate into the Belizean society. Here's a report with Hippolyta Novello.
After 15 years of absence in the country and at the request of the Belizean government, the UN High Commissioner of Refugees, UNHCR, reopened its door to help the government in the re-establishment of the refugee program system. In 2017, Belize joined the Cooperation Framework on International Refugee Protection and Solutions.
Access to Belize and protection in Belize has been facing some challenges. That's why the government has been working with us since 2016 to improve this. And Belize has been, since the early 1990s, a state party to the International Refugee Convention, and it has also put in place national legislation.
More than 3,000 asylum seekers have applied for refugee status. Up to date, 28 persons have been granted such status.
The refugee situation here in Belize is actually a stable one in that we have around 6,000 persons in need of international protection.
With the mass influx of migrants moving north to the US, Belize is not a typical transit country.
But people who come to Belize normally do so for a reason.
In an effort to strengthen the country's refugee protection and solution system, UNHCR, along with the Refugees Department, partnered with the Costa Rican Refugee Commission with the aim to share information.
In the mid-2010s, really the realization came up that these structures, the national refugee structures, need to be reactivated in view of a research of new refugees who came in, mainly from El Salvador in view of the increasing gang violence there. But also we have Hondurans, a few Guatemalans, and a number of other nationalities who are seeking protection in Belize.
As part of the visit, Esteban Lemos and Harold Villegas, both members of the Migration Administrative Court of Costa Rica, paid a visit to the growing migrant community of Valley of Peace. Lemos agrees with the Commission, saying that the mission was successful in bringing the two countries who are facing similar displacement issues closer in sharing best practices that both countries have adopted.
The idea of this twinning mission is to give some of the good practices and good examples of the Costa Rican expertise in this way, and try to give some ideas to the Belize authorities in this matter.
What is Belize doing wrong in terms of dealing with refugees?
Well, I can say that Belize is doing wrong things, but maybe Costa Rica have different ways to solve the things or attend the refugee situation, and we are trying to give a different idea and different way to do the things. We can't say that Belize is doing bad things, but we can give our point of view and different ways to solve the situation. The region is having a different and complex situation with refugees. We are all part of the Central America situation, so it's very important for us to attend this situation as a regional thing and give regional support with different points of view and different traditions. For example, Costa Rica have this administrative court who, since 10 years ago, who attends the appeals of the applicants who the commits or commissions of refugee deny their decisions. And it's a very good practice, for example, that the states can have these administrative courts that decide, and not like a political decision. It's a technical, neutral decision, the situation of the refugees. So the idea of this twinning mission, the Belizean people went to Costa Rica last December, is to this change it of different experiences.
The delegation visited the western border where talks were held with the border commander and immigration authorities regarding challenges faced at the border and current displacement statistics in Belize. The delegation also met with State Minister of Immigration Beverly Williams. One of the key concerns discussed is the allowing migrants with a gang background to settle in the country.
She also feels certain constraints, mainly coming from a perception of public opinion that supposedly is not so favorable towards the reception of refugees. However, refugee reception is an international human rights obligation, and it's not for everyone. I think the fear that many more people would be coming to Belize to overwhelm the country's coping capacities, that is often being quoted, is not really well-founded, because for these who qualify, I think Belize will have space. So far we are talking about 600 who have already been found to meet the refugee criteria over the past 4 years. These 600 can definitely be integrated in their communities. They are here anyway. And I would dispute that if there is a steady flow of refugee recognitions of, say, 30, 40 per month, that this will attract so many others, economic migrants, who would enter this procedure, because most of them would, of course, be rejected. They don't meet the stringent refugee criteria. And those who are accepted can be integrated into their communities and can contribute to the welfare of Belize, as refugees have always done.
Reporting for News 5, Hipólito Novello.
When we come back, we'll take you inside a vessel with scientific equipment to collect data on the ecosystems at sea.
Trimming the hedges and overgrown trees
Experts from the National Oceanography Center are currently in Belize carrying out critical work on the seabed. To collect data, they are employing the Sea Worker, a 13-foot vessel which is loaded with oceanographic equipment to measure the quality of water affecting the ecosystems at sea. The information will be used to review the coastal zone management policy. Here is News 5's Isani Caetano with this report.
The Commonwealth Marine Economies Program is supporting Caribbean and Pacific small island developing states to preserve their marine environments and make the most of their maritime resources to catalyze sustainable economic development whilst safeguarding the health of the ocean.
Along the lines of innovation, we would like to showcase a piece of technological advance that our partners at the Commonwealth Marine Economies Program are very well versed with. Through that program, we in Belize are benefiting from technical exchanges with experts, with scientists in the realm of coastal management.
Scientists from the National Oceanography Center have commenced fieldwork using a special vessel called the Sea Worker to characterize the environmental sensitivity of Belizean coastal waters.
It's a 13-foot fully autonomous vessel, a diesel controlled vessel, which we can basically put a mission in and it'll run the mission. Crucially, it has 3 scientific payloads which we change. They're easy to change, they're easy to set up. So one is a set of oceanographic equipment which measures fundamentally water quality type equipment. Another is a side scan sonar, and what that does is it enables you to map the seabed. And then the third one is a multi-beam sonar which maps the seabed in a slightly different way.
The information being generated through these activities will directly contribute to a coastal zone management policy review currently being conducted by a Coastal Zone Management Authority and Institute. They will help to facilitate informed, evidence-based decision-making towards balancing the tensions between different activities and services within the coastal zone, and conservation of the vital ecosystems service it provided.
As a coastal manager, we need data, we need evidence to make the right sorts of decisions now and for the future. And so the kind of equipment and technology that they have brought to Belize will help to reduce savings in personnel that would normally be required and other time and other areas. So it is with open arms that we receive this sort of equipment. The data to be collected will fill a lot of gaps that we have and improve our understanding of the interaction that's happening on land and how it's affecting our ecosystems at sea.
Over the coming weeks, scientists from the University of Belize, the Turneff Atoll Sustainability Association, CZMEI, and the Belize Port Authority will be working together to map the seafloor and describe marine habitats around Belize City.
Now we've come back, we've got more information about what we want to do with the water quality, so we've spent a good solid week looking at water quality around the city. Then we've just come back from Turneff Atoll, where we've been mapping below the seabed, looking at the geology, if you like, below the seabed to look at the sort of the quantity of carbon that may well be in there, and we're correlating that with some physical coring samples that were taken by our scientists a few days previously. We're now moving on to doing some mapping work of the seabed around Goffs Caye.
These activities culminate in a Coastal Awareness Week, a series of public engagement events led by CZMEI in their efforts to support the sustainable use and development of coastal resources. Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Caetano.
Coastal Awareness Week 2019 got underway today at the Coastal Zone Management Authority and Institute, made its media rounds across Belize City. The week-long activities will include a trivia competition for primary schools as well as the annual Run for the Coast on Saturday. The purpose for commemorating Coastal Awareness Week is to sensitize the public on the importance of Belize's coast and marine resources. Chief Executive Officer Chantal Samuels explains the theme for this year's celebration.
This is the 5th annual observance of Coastal Awareness Week, being celebrated under the theme Building Coastal Resilience Through Innovation. The week starts today and will run through until Saturday, November 2nd, with an activity occurring on each day. It's very important in our work to engage the general public so that they can have a medium to participate actively and meaningfully in coastal management issues. You might be asking, why coastal resilience? Why focus on innovation? We believe that the two work hand in hand, or needs to work hand in hand in order for us to see the types of outcomes socially, environmentally, and economically. We are a country that's blessed with natural resources, and our base for economic activities, the very natural resources that we depend on. Our livelihoods are, intimately linked to natural resources. And so as we see increasing threats from human activities, from the adverse impacts of climate change, it's important now more than ever to build our coastal resilience to these changes. And we've found that if we embrace innovation, which can include advances in technology or changes in management approaches, we can see the desired and intended outcomes that we so desperately need now.
Coming up after the break, the precarious state of the citrus industry is impacting life of the farm workers in the South.
Digi, the Ministry of Education, in the Gap Institute, BAPS, and Microsoft.
Your future.
At least 6 staff members at the Citrus Growers Association did not report to work today and say they will not do so until they receive their salaries, which is overdue for at least 2 months. The CGA is on the brink of bankruptcy. It has for quite some time been unable to provide service to its members because of its financial debt. Creditors have placed markers on several CGA assets in an attempt to recover monies. Government says it will not inject capital in a failing private entity until it gets its house in order. And even so, the assistance would not necessarily be a capital injection. The government is proposing that the CGA and Belize Citrus Mutual reunite in order to salvage what is left of the industry. Area Representative for Stan Creek West, Rodwell Ferguson, says that the trickling effect of CGA's financials is being felt by low-income families. Ferguson says that the solution is for the citrus industry to expand.
It is mismanagement to a certain extent, but it's also as a result of quarrels among the big fish.
The government said it would not inject any cash to the CGA until it gets its house in order.
Well, I fully support the government at this juncture that nobody will invest and put money into something that is failing. So once they can get the act together, then that injection can go on.
Would you agree also with the Minister of Agriculture and his proposal that both entities should unite?
Well, that is the key. There must be a unity among them for the survival of the citrus industry. So recently no salaries has been paid, no utility bills have been paid, they have owned people supplying stuff to them, and they are in dire crisis. And you might ask yourself the question, what is the solution? The only solution to the CGA is to once again expand the production of citrus, and the farmers will have to have that real understanding what is the purpose and role of the CGA and agree to pay back the assess to the CGA. If that doesn't happen, I can see a citrus association totally dead.
The Stan Creek area representative also spoke about the appointment of water board members across villages in Belize. The appointment of new water board members would normally proceed after the election of a new village council. The appointment of the new members is the responsibility of the Minister of Rural Development, in this case Dr. Carla Barnett, who is the Minister of State for that ministry. The appointment by law is to be made in consultation with the village council. But according to Ferguson, such consultations were not held. According to him, PUP village councils received a response to their proposal of a list of possible members. That list was rejected and replaced with known UDP supporters.
The law specifically states that water boards are appointed by the minister responsible for rural development after consultation with the area representative and the village councils. Somehow we misconstrue what is the meaning of consultation. I fully agree it is the minister's prerogative to appoint, but as elected bodies, I may expect that the minister may call us around a round table and have a candid discussion, and we agree and we disagree. It is her final decision. Whatever she say, we'll have accepted. Last week, myself and the village councils received a letter after we have submitted some proposals about 2 months ago. And the village councils and myself, we both signed proposals and said this is what we are proposing or recommended to the different water boards. After receiving those letters, she wrote us and said, I'm proposing that these people should be appointed to the water boards. And if you have any comments, then you can make your comments in writing within 7 days if you disapprove or disagree with anybody. But after looking at the list, the village councils are elected by the people. I am elected by the people, and nobody that the village council and myself recommend is on our proposed list. Lo and behold, only names that are recommended by the unelected standard bearer is accepted. There is where I have a problem.
Up next, James Adderley with a play-by-play of the weekend sporting activities.
At the
of Belize Limited, a port with a global perspective.
Sports Monday is brought to you by Berger Paints for lasting beauty and protection and the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
Good evening. I'm James Satterley. Welcome to Sports Monday. The national under-18 football team of Belize made its foray into the UNCAF tournament staged at Costa Rica with a mighty bang that will shake up the football scene in Belize. We have been to so many tournaments at every level and have never made it to the finals. Well, now we have. On Saturday, our under-18 team, they beat El Salvador 5-4 in penalty kicks after holding them to a 2-2 draw in overtime play. The host team, Costa Rica, beat our team 4-0 in the finals to grab the gold, while Belize settled for silver. We will settle for silver this time. This achievement should transform our approach to sports overall. Heartfelt congratulations, guys. Week 12 of the PBL football opening season brought yesterday at the Norman Barstow Stadium. Verdes FC hosted the Placencia Assassins, looking to recover after last week's 3-2 loss to San Pedro Pirates in their away game. Christian Lopez, he pushes the attack, beating two defenders to float this ball into the box. The header by Jerome James bounces off the crossbar to Edwin Bernal, who opens the scoreboard with this nice volley to give Verdes a 1-0 lead at the 14th minute. Nevertheless, Verdes continues with the pressure. Polanco deals to Lopez, whose shot is blocked. The ball reaches Denmark Caye, and this beauty of a left foot gives Verdes a 2-0 lead at the 29th minute of play. Edwin Bernal is the provider, and he finds Jerome James, whose header makes it a 3-0 ball game. Just a minute later, Placencia Assassins pull one back. Number 23, Jardel Muschamp intercepts this intended pass and directs the ball to Dion Mogel, who makes it a 3-1 score at the 36th minute. Woodrow Reds is definitely not happy about this situation, so we go to second half. It's all Verdes FC, but first, let's just show this golden opportunity denied by Woodrow West in goal. We're at the 66th minute when Christian Lopez moves the scoreboard with this well-placed right foot swing to make it a 4-1 Verdes lead. At the 76th minute, Elroy Smith displays his offensive skill by carving this ball around the wall as Verdes goes up 5-1. Less than a minute later, this pass finds Desmond Wade, who pushes the score to a 6-1 showing. A minute into extra time, Jordi Polanco launches this right foot shot that makes it 7-1, Verdes win. In other results, Wakia FC doubled Bandit Sports 2-1. Altitude FC blindsided the BDF FC in a 2-0 affair, while San Pedro Pirates picked up 3 easy points in a Valley Pride giveaway. In women's football news, Verdes Rebels hosted San Pedro Invaders yesterday at the Norman Barstow Stadium, and they came out punching people. Yahaira Alarcon picks up this ball and slices through a defensive triangle to open the scoreboard. Miss Alarcon comes back and does it again to make it a 2-0 showing. Make it a hat-trick for Miss Alarcon when she comes up with this right foot push that beats the keeper. Less than a minute later, she powers this ball just inside the 18 and finds the far corner, and it's a 4-0 ball game just like that. Miss Alarcon provides when she works her way through traffic to set table for Vicky Ponce, who pounces on the ball and scores in the 5-0 victory. In other results, Romberas got 5 goals from Katie Jones to hush Toledo Divas 7-1. Joel Fury spanked Altitude Chicks 2-1. Verdes Rebels turned back San Pedro Invaders in a 5-0 rout, while Gladiators doubled Maya Hill Royals 4-2. We now take you inside the Bliss Institute for Saturday night's Mr. Belize bodybuilding competition, where we find 6 athletes contesting for a title. this particular title. This frontal view should open your eyes, people. Tell me, who has the best back? It's not very hard to determine who has the bulk and the chisel form. Okay, let's strike the pose. And again, the best is unmistakable. The battle for the title lies with these three athletes, and muscles don't tell lie. Or is it with the three who are now posing and do display that they are in this competition? Okay, let's just say this might have just been the best look of the night. And the winner of the Mr. Belize Championship is Clayton Greenwich, who makes it 3 in a row. And when I say you're big, it's because you're large. Don't look now, champ, but Abu Sese, he is coming and coming hard, but tonight he has to settle for the runner-up spot because you're wrong. And in third place, we find Dion Ortiz, who has the bulk, but a little more chisel would do the trick. Alfred Godfrey would finish fourth, and we say congrats to all. Big up to the big four. Turning to the men's physique contest, the man in the middle is Keon Griffith, and he is number 1. To his right then is Dennis Wright, who finishes in second place, while Roque Garcia, he makes the top 3, and we say congrats. Finally, in basketball news, Dragons is the 2019 Inter-Office champion officially, coming from being 1 down to winning 2 in a row against Tough Enough. In Game 3 Saturday night, Sidney Bradley, he hit 16 points. Both Vasquez and Juan Rene struck for 18 points apiece. Cordell Gonzalez, he hit 12 points, and Gabriel Taylor 11 points. Tough Enough was led by Francis Arana with 20 points. Elvis Oliveira 18, Jamal Kelly 13. Hey guys, maybe next year, but we do have to say congratulations to the Dragons, and yeah, maybe you'll make it 4. Hey folks, certainly hope you enjoyed it. We invite you back same time, same place next week. Ja! Overall, I'm James Adderley.
Sports Monday was brought to you by Berger Paints for lasting beauty and protection, and the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
What in
That's the news. Don't forget that tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, good night.